What the real thing is a lot of people see an old guy in tech and they think these old guys are just trying to ride it out till they retire.
What did he say?
So is ageism a thing in the tech field? Are people having issues getting jobs because they're either too young or too old? Well, that's what this guy on Reddit's saying, and I'm gonna go ahead and dig into his Reddit post and see if ageism is really a factor in this case, or if he's just not able to get a job for other reasons. But anyways, let's go ahead and check out the details. Hey guys, welcome to Tech Logic Lounge, where I cover all things to IT. I do tech reviews, I talk about tech careers and give advice even though no one's asking for it. I also do some labbing, and I talk about all kinds of random tech topics, especially Reddit posts like this. If you're into that, make sure you subscribe. When I hit 1,000 subscribers, I'll be giving another Raspberry Pi 5 away. I appreciate you guys' support, but anyways, let's go ahead and actually get into the topic now. So we have Top Billin' One on a Reddit post saying, I don't understand why I can ever get an IT job. The grammar's off a little bit there. It kind of reminds me of those guys that say, I didn't do nothing. But anyways, let's see what he's actually saying here. So he's saying, I'm guessing age 50 and lack of quality experience combined with a low wage, past jobs like security guard, mail clerk is just the main issue. I don't know why I can't get hired. I have a BS and it does nothing at all. I guess it seems like I'm just too old and wasted too much time. None of my certifications literally do anything. A+, never got a tech job. CCNA, never got a tech job, nothing at all. I thought about leaving the low wage jobs off the resume, but nothing works. Maybe it's the location, he's in Florida, or maybe I need to look into factory work somewhere else. And with that, he also actually does provide some more details further on in the Reddit post. Let's actually check those out real quick. So we got somebody asking him if he had any interviews or any calls, and he says he's probably got about 3 to 4 interviews since he finished last March, and finished by meaning finished his degree, which he actually talks about later on down in this post. Let's move on down to that. Yeah, here it is. So basically this guy ended up asking him if his lack of experience seems to be the problem. Have you worked any help desk? And he says no help desk, but he did have 2 years in the SOC, which is Security Operations Center. That's great, experience doing network monitoring, but he got fired in 2019 and haven't been in IT since. So it's kind of a bad spot to be in. And he says, with this job on my resume, I have 5 years of a gap to explain. So it looks like he didn't have any job from 2022 to 24, and that's because, of course, like I had mentioned before, he was completing his degree. So that's when he finished in 2024, and since then he's been looking for a job. But from 2020 to 2022, he was basically not working on unemployment. Plus he's older, so it's bad luck to most people. Yeah, I mean, bringing up the age, I mean, it can be, but the fact that you have this gap here in your resume is a lot more concerning than your age. I'm not really thinking it's an ageism thing here. There's a lot of red flags. Let's see what else he says. So it looks like he also replied back here when someone asked what kind of positions he's applying for. He applies for help desk, junior network engineer, network analyst, network admin, field tech. So basically all the entry-level stuff that he should be looking into. So it doesn't look like he's aiming for, anything crazy. And then he asked if he should leave off some of his non-IT related jobs. And I mean, I would say so. I mean, they're probably not going to help out very much. If it's a lot prior to 2019, when he had had finished his last job. So I guess since he was there from 2019, 2 years prior, it would be 2017. I would just make everything else, non-technical related or something like that, just a blurb. So, the hiring managers aren't wasting their time trying to skim through that when it's not actually going to assist in any way. Oh yeah, so he says here, can I leave off my jobs and just focus on skills and degree? Maybe the jobs are a bad look. This guy says yes, take off those non-technical jobs essentially. Another guy here, he switched from the automotive mechanic to music teaching in particular, and removed all previous things that weren't related to the field he was trying to get into, and he just left the stuff that is related to it, and it worked out for him. So that is some pretty good recommendations there. I'd probably say the same as well. Now this guy here ends up mentioning that he actually regrets getting into IT. It's the Mickey Mouse bullshit industry. It's not based on skills, it's popularity contests. Maybe you'll get a raise this year, or maybe the company will go under, who knows? Oh yeah, and now all the companies want Indians for cheap labor. You should probably check out my last video on that one as well, where I provide some of my takes on that. But anyways, he said if you want to make money, it's a horrible career choice. I'm not 100% sure about that now. But anyways, he says he's not as extreme in his views about regretting getting into IT. And it does work out for a lot of other people, but in a sense it is a buddy club environment, and that unfortunately is a fact. I in fact was taken advantage of in my only job experience. I'm assuming the SOC job he's talking about. I was paid low, then fired, and they upped the wage, so I was an easy mark, and they seen that. That number one, that doesn't make much sense with just in terms of grammar wise. However, that doesn't make sense on why they would fire him and then up the pay for the job. I think it was more performance if you ask me, but I'll leave it off to the end here. And this guy here says it could be all of these things, but it could also be your writing and communication skills. The title of your post doesn't make much grammatical sense. You've got a couple places in your past posts and replies that don't make any grammatical sense either. Basically, has he asked anybody if they critiqued him? And he says, I practice myself and will do a bit better. And yeah, that's really about it. But anyways, let's go ahead and get into my take on this whole thing. So my thoughts on the whole thing are mixed. Is it ageism?
Nope.
No, I'm gonna go ahead and say it's not ageism right off the rip. Number one, the dude's only 50. That's not very old, and it looks like he had been technically in the IT game since 2017 when he was doing the sock thing. That was about 7 years ago at this point. So he was 43. I know a lot of people who come into the tech field at the same age as him and even older. But there are some other things that come up, right? So he does have a cert in his degree, which are great, that'll help him get interviews with them being on the resume, but he's only gotten 3 to 4 interviews in total, meaning his resume is probably shit. He probably needs to go ahead and get that revised and try and do something with the gaps that he has in it to explain that a little bit. Another thing is, of course, experience. He's only got the 2 years of soccer experience. He should be doing some additional labbing or something like that so he can put that he has experience in it. Might not be related to a specific job, but at least he can put that on his resume, and that'll show that he's motivated and he's looking to continue to improve himself. That's a big thing, which kind of plays into why people think it's ageism, right? What the real thing is a lot of people see an old guy in tech and they think these old guys are just trying to ride it out till they retire, right? And it's not just in tech, it's everywhere. And I've known a lot of people in my jobs who were super old, they were close to retirement, and they weren't trying to improve themselves. They weren't looking into automation. They weren't trying to do anything other than the bare minimum every single day just to get, to retirement. So when people see older people, sometimes that's going to be what they're thinking. I'm just going to call a spade a spade. However, if he's showing stuff on his resume showing that he's continuing to try and improve himself even at 50, which I'd still consider that young, but even at 50, then people are not going to have that, right? If he's on an interview and of course they're going to ask him, what do you do to continue to improve yourself, outside of the job, which I get that same question or a variation of it all the time. And he shows he's labbing, he's continuing to do some sort of self-development in and outside of the job, they're going to see that he's not that same guy who's just trying to ride it out to retirement. He's motivated. That's what people want. That's why a lot of people look at the young guys, because they're super hungry. The guys and girls are super hungry. They're trying to do whatever they can to outshine the other guys. And it's because tech has gotten very competitive over the years. So you need to do whatever you can, try to get any little practice and experience you possibly can so that you can have that one skill that the other guy doesn't. And in this case, it doesn't look like he's trying to do that at all. He thinks the magic ticket is the certifications and the degree, which is not the case at all. That's what I think his problem is. It's not ageism. I don't even think there's very much ageism to begin with. Of course, it's not 0% chance that there's no ageism in tech fields, for sure. There's going to be ageism everywhere, and it's definitely not 0 currently. However, I don't think that's the factor in his case. I think it's more of a motivational thing, his resume gap, him not trying to continue to develop himself, and him trying to give excuses more than anything. If he was showing he was motivated and trying to continue to develop himself and put those additional skills, I think he'd be all right. So that's just my take on it. Of course, opinions are like assholes. Everybody has one. You guys let me know, is ageism a thing? Have you actually been impacted by ageism in the tech field? Do you think he's actually being impacted by ageism? I don't think so. But anyways, I'd like to know down in the comments down below. So I appreciate you. I'll see you in the next video. Peace.